Robertin de kuna kunai hananai nananai medicina icarona.
Hi guys, Happy New Year. This is Adil speaking. The question I usually ended up getting while I was a child was always, where you from? And naturally I answered, I'm from Copenhagen, of course. But then people said like, where are you really from? And I was like, I'm born and raised in Denmark, so I'm Danish. No, but where are your parents from? After a couple of years getting the same questions again and again and again, I actually started thinking. I think that I was okay. Maybe I'm not Danish because everybody's telling me I'm not. And then I had an experience in my parents' home country, uh, where I was out and I met a police officer who was very mean to me. He was talking and saying some words I haven't heard before in the foreign country, in the foreign language. And I asked my cousin what it meant, and he said it's like a bad word for foreigner, the same as I was used to calling Denmark. And I think that started like my crisis of identity. I didn't know what kind of label I should put on myself, because apparently I needed a label. Everybody was using a label, or like a word that could summarize the person I am. At my work, I met a guy, a coworker, who became my good friend. He explained to me about different psychedelics, uh, drugs, or whatever you call it. And I was very skeptical. I was very critical about those kind of things because I never tried it before. But then he started speaking about ayahuasca and DMT, and we used to watch a lot of different documentaries about, especially ayahuasca. At the same time, he was also started to get an interest in it, and then we decided to go. On the day of the ceremony, I met Jacob, uh, and what an introduction! He was waiting for us at the ferry. When we drove out, he instantly came over to us and gave us a big hug and welcomed us in the warmest way possible. And I actually felt like, wow, and I've been knowing this guy for many years, even though it was the first time I met him. And he made me feel home. He made me feel like I was just another one of his friends. It was a nice feeling. We went to the place where the ceremony were held. As the time passed, the excitement and all the expectations inside of me were like about to explode, because I didn't know exactly what to expect. I didn't know what was going to happen. And then they called my name, and I was about to to just run out of the room. But seeing these three kind people greeting me again, and all looking at me and inviting me in, I couldn't say no. I just naturally went over to that place, and they gave me this cup. It tasted horrible, but then this Jacob said like, "Have a nice journey," and I was okay. I'm gonna have a nice journey. And then I went back to my spot. After 20 minutes, it was like I could feel something happening inside my body. It started with a happy feeling coming from deep inside my stomach, spreading all the way around in my body. After a couple of minutes, uh, I felt like, imagine if you were inside of your brain, standing in the middle of, and just looking around, and you see like a million screens, each containing like one of your experience, what something you're happy that's happened to you. You can just see it play back in the video, but it was all a mess because you were standing in the middle and you was just looking around, and even though you knew the experiences, it didn't make sense. It wasn't in order. You didn't have control, and I started getting scared because I lost all of my control, obviously. And then I heard like a voice, a singing voice, and I was looking around. I didn't see anyone, but it was a beautiful and unique voice. And even though I couldn't see who was singing, it it just it was so beautiful, and it made me so calm, and it gave me what I needed to proceed in this journey I was about to start. And all the screens and different experience I had, they just came into order, and I could start like viewing them one by one. What happened a couple of months earlier from the ceremony was that I lost my grandmother, and for the first time I lost a family member. I didn't express it as I usually did. I always cried a lot, and I was so sad for a long time. And even though my grandmother was very close to me, it felt like I just I didn't cry. I didn't let it out. I just held it inside of me, even though I wanted to, and I felt real bad for it. I felt like I was a bad person because I didn't cry, but I just couldn't. And after a while, my grandmother actually appeared in front of me, and she talked to me, and she was like, "You don't have to feel bad. I'm in a better place, and I will always love you." And she took her goodbyes with me, like in person, and it was so beautiful and was so emotional that I couldn't stop myself from crying. And then I just wept, and I thought that I actually wept inside of myself, but apparently I was crying out loud. And uh, this beautiful singing voice that I mentioned earlier put a hand on my shoulder, and I opened my eyes and I saw her for the first time. And oh my God, she was so beautiful, and she looked like you see the princess in Avatar, so beautiful. Uh, and she looked at me, and she just her touch gave me calmness again. And I just looked at her and I asked for a hug, and she gave me this hug, and I just felt like all the bad things that I kept inside just drained out of my shoulders. And the second day, we had another ceremony, and I was I didn't know this time. I had no clue what to expect because I felt like everything that I had kept inside of me, everything that was like a question to me was answered the day before. I didn't know. Now I had this good experience the day before. I don't know if I want to do it again, because what what if I get a bad experience this time? When night came and the second ceremony started, something in me told me you have to go up again. You have to see what else this beautiful thing can do to you. This beautiful drug, this medicine. Uh, and I went up, and even though I was excited, it was different this time. It felt like this is right. I'm gonna this time I just want to have a good experience, and I want to feel the room. I just want to have a sense of everything that's happening around me. That's what I told myself, and it actually worked. I didn't go into this deep sleep, but I was just in the room. I felt like I could feel I could feel everyone laying around and sharing their experience. My friend was laying right next to me, and at one point I kind of touched his hand, and I felt this warmth coming out of him. I could feel like I was in the same place as him. It was like it connected both me and him and all the other people in the room as well. It was such a nice experience.
Ayahuasca medicina, ayahuasca
After my experience with ayahuasca, I feel like my life has changed in a couple of ways. Personally, it has changed the way I am, the way I'm thinking. The question I always had was, where am I really from? Where do I really fit in? It just made sense to me afterwards. Of course, I'm just a citizen of Earth, and I belong everywhere I am, because it's not about where I'm from or how I look. It's how I am. That's really important. If people don't like who you are, that's their problem, right? Uh, it gave me a lot of inner peace. I feel like I had this overwhelming burst of energy, and I was ready to approach each problem as they came, and handle them with a lot of patience instead of a lot of anger, as I had before.